Welcome to Simply Sarah. I'm Sarah Stock. I'm your host and delighted that you are here. I think that you are in for a really wonderful treat. If you are somebody who knows that being around animals can help you feel better about things, then this is definitely the episode for you. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the Stegner family for their amazing support, for Katie Ingersoll for her ability to help me and others interpret what's taking place around us through eyes of looking at the shamanic world, and then for Michelle, the artist at Lamano Art, who has created the art of forgiving and is also, I think, going to be going soon by Healer Artist or Artist Healer. I'm just so thankful for their support. And then to say to Tara Weis, thank you so much for joining us. Just so glad that you are here with us today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So the first time that we met, the first time that we have met in person, I was traveling through LAX. I was with my two sisters and mom. We were on our way to walk through the terminal to meet up with a bus that was going to take us to start the cruise. And you were actually the start of the cruise because there you were as an LAX pup representative with Piper. And we just had to stop and say hello. And it just put this warm fuzzy in our hearts. Just, it was so incredible. And then you had a card, like a baseball card, that you were handing out. And I took that and I thought, I wonder if she'd be willing to come on the show. And here you are. So thank you for all that you do and for saying yes.
Oh, thank you very much for even asking. So it's my pleasure.
So, how did you get into the world of dogs? Let's start there.
As a young child, I had a dog and loved it, and then divorce happened in the family, and had to give away the dog. And as I got older, uh, you know, I still wanted an animal, a pet, but was working and single, and was realistic enough and smart enough to know it's not the way for me to have an animal or a pet. So waited a lot longer, and then was engaged, and we started talking about getting an animal, a pet specifically, and we decided on a dog, and then figuring out what kind of dog and what fit our lifestyle. Yeah, and we decided on a Boston Terrier, and they are energetic and goofy and silly and very fun.
Yes.
And then from there, we got a couple more eventually. So our love really, really expanded.
Yes. And the third one you have, I believe, is Piper. Is that true?
Correct. I had two, and while I always enjoyed the thought of pet therapy, they were not proper for being a pet therapy dog. But when we got Piper, the third one, when COVID was we were coming out of COVID and starting to go out in the world, and everything was still patio based and outside. We started taking her right away because we literally got her when we went into lockdown, and they were told us to stay home. So it was just her with her sisters, and she wasn't really socialized out in the world. So we made sure to start taking her out once we felt comfortable, and we realized she just would sit there and like a human, and she would just watch, and dogs could walk by, and she was fine. And I thought, okay, I could do some training with her, and I think she's a really good candidate for what I've been wanting to do, which was pet therapy.
And so, how long is the training? How do you get into something like an LAX pup?
So, every group is different. I first had to figure out what organization I wanted to join to then be tested. And I had seen a Frenchie on Instagram who was working at the airport, and I was like, well, that's interesting altogether. And I found what organization they were in. Then I looked up a few others, and I liked Alliance of Therapy Dogs because they were nationwide as
Mm.
well as Canada. And I thought, wasn't planning on moving, but I liked the idea that they were sort of nationwide, a bigger group than just a local based. And I looked up the requirements, and they have videos of what the testing would be like and that. And the first step is, honestly, I have to pass a background check.
Mm.
If I can't pass that, we go no further. Pass
Okay.
the background check, and then you have to reach out to a local tester observer. It's on you, and they have volunteers who do this. And so there was a couple in the area, and I reached out to one, Kathy, and we started talking, and she's like, I've never tested a Boston Terrier because a lot of them are labs golden
Yes.
doodles and other mixes. But she's like, I have never tested a Boston Terrier. This will be fun. And we had a great time chatting. And I thought, oh, this is great. And we just started testing. And really, it's with the right dog, it's very easy. They like to be touched by strangers. They can be on the top of their head, their bodies, all over. Um, they can walk past another dog and not react, just continue to move. They can deal with loud sounds or unexpected things. Someone, let's say, in a wheelchair or on crutches or who walks unevenly, they're not scared by that. It's simple, but we all know that it can scare any animal, any pet. So
Right.
um,
Right.
you picked areas that were sort of like maybe outdoor shopping malls that had a lot of people. We walked into stores, and basically she just evaluates how myself as a handler and the dog interact and work together. And then also there's now it's 2 medical facility visits. So we went to a nursing post rehab place that was still accepting uh, testing for dogs because a lot of them closed up for COVID, obviously. So it became harder for testing because a lot of places weren't allowing us to go into medical facilities,
Right.
understandably. Some are opening up a little bit more now. But so it was about four tests, and there's other dogs with us walking through and testing at the same time. And it's for the right dog, it's very easy. My other two, there's no way we would have gotten past the first step. I mean, the second step, I would have passed, but the
Uh-huh.
step. So with the right animal, it's quite easy.
Hmm. That's so
So
incredible.
incredible.
So in this space then, were you trained to be a trainer? How did you get the information that you needed in order to be able to work with Piper on your own? Or was it just that Piper had all of the pieces and that just made it easy?
She had all the pieces, truthfully, but we did do training. And I did just basic training. And then we did group classes. And group classes for any pet owner, whether it's therapy or not, is the best thing. One of ours, we'd go to a big park and there was maybe 20 dogs, and we're talking all shapes and sizes, and they're all on leash and you walk around in circles and then you go in and out of each other. We they'll have you sit in the center, and every dog is next to you, like as a line down a line, kind of like a dance line. And there you and you have like 15-foot leashes, and so that way you can give them room to come towards you, hopefully, when you call them and that kind of a thing, but also to sit in the middle with a bunch of dogs surrounded it and hold a sit and not move. And again, they're all leashed, trainers and other people. And so that really helps cement um, just listening, but also just being around a lot of other animals and not reacting, and dealing with all that, because that's a lot of energy. It's a lot of as well as being outside at a park with people walking by, driving by. One time we had a marching band practice next,
Oh,
just
how
over.
exciting.
Oh my, trying to call your dog over a marching band, but it was a great distraction. But it was interesting, but it was fun. And so you just don't know what you're in for, which is a great and the best way, because when you're working or with your pet anywhere, you don't know what you're in for.
True, true. So when you went into the nursing home facility then, does that also mean that in addition, if you wanted to apply to go into hospitals or nursing home or medical areas, that you could choose to do that with Piper?
Yeah, so I also volunteer regularly now. There's a hospital literally down the street from us, Memorial Care, and they have a program with pups. And so I have an assistant who walks with me, who goes into the rooms and says, and because we're already licensed, with our alliance, and we're already, background checks, though they do another one just in case, that's fine. They have a whole program and they have cards as well, and we go to the nurses stations and the doctors, and then and some of the rooms, not all the rooms, but
Right.
we do go to the rooms. And with the assistant, she walks ahead, usually asks if anyone's interested in pet therapy, because there's a lot of people who aren't interested. That's okay. And then she says yes, and because I have a smaller dog, I can lift her up, and if they would like, we put down a little sheet, a little disposable sheet, and she can sit on the bed and they can pet her easier. Or if they're not so sure, I can hold her because she weighs 18 pounds. So I can easily hold her, in my arms, and that kind of a thing. And some people just want to see her and say hi, sort of thing. And some people do want to pet and really get in there. And you can really, they'll tell you, oh, I have my animals are at home. I have dogs or I have cats, and I miss them. And this is so great, and that kind of a thing. We chat about what kind of dog do they have, and it's just a nice conversation usually. And it usually they're just very excited, as well as their guests. A lot of times, people who are visiting them, it
Yes.
again lightens the mood of why they're in a hospital or what have you. So, and we hand out our card because the hospital has their version of the same card that you received, and we give them a card, and that way they can share with others just who they saw. And sometimes they want to take pictures, and always fine. And yeah,
Yes.
it's really nice. So I do that once a month, since I at the time was still working. And but they have a good number of volunteers, and sometimes they'll sit in the lobby and greet people, and others will go to rooms and see
Mm,
the staff as well, because the staff are just as needed as just as much as the patients.
absolutely. Tara, we're going to take a quick break here to say thank you to our sponsors. When we come back, I would love for you to share how you know that Piper is done for the day, because you are not only watching your own energy, you're also watching Piper's. We'll be right back.
This is Michelle. She teaches women how to forgive the people who betrayed them, not by asking them to talk about it, but by helping them express it through art. She's an art therapist and the creator of the art of forgiving, a class that turns emotion into expression. No therapy jargon, no pressure to explain, because forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about setting yourself free. This is Michelle, and this is the art of forgiving.
Are you ready to enrich and deepen your relationship with the spirit world and increase your knowledge of the shamanic journey? Then this is for you. The first step of the shamanic journey is to discover your power animal. This process allows you to step into Spirit's energetic field where they share their aspect of the divine's power. And as a result, you begin to realize the significance of their sacred power and what it means to you personally. Katie Ingersoll is a highly sought shamanic and Reiki teacher, a practitioner, a spiritual counselor, and educator. With grace, she integrates the rich teachings of the wise ancient ones into her workshops, encouraging her students to mesh these teachings into their everyday lives. For details of how you can discover your power animal, reach out to Katie at katieingersoll@gmail.com. You can also find her as a qualified teacher and practitioner on Sandra Ingerman's shamanicteachers.com. Katie Ingersoll's classes and workshops are fresh, unique, fun, and informative. Ready to deepen your shamanic understanding? Reach out today. And so I would love to hear you share, Tara, how you know that Piper is done for the day when you were either at the hospital once a month or you're at LAX or on another adventure with Piper, allowing Piper to be this incredible ambassador of calm.
Usually at the hospital, it's about like an hour or so. So she's good for the hour. When we're at LAX, we can do about up to an hour and a half to two. It varies. And honestly, we take breaks. And that's the biggest thing, is if we're doing anything past an hour, a break is just always good for both of us. And we'll sit and give some water, some treats. But a lot of times, she might pull or just kind of be a little stubborn, and you're kind of like, you're done. Okay, I can tell. Okay. There's just little cues. It's nothing major. She'll, even on our way out from LAX, sometimes, you get stopped still a lot. And so
Yes.
you're still working on your way out, unless I take off her cape, her vest. But she's super cute. So people always want to stop, and and she'll still, take the pets and stand there and stuff. But you can kind of see she's like, I'm kind of done, Mom. I'm tired. And I will say, though, the drive home, she rests. she'll come home and with her two sisters and she'll play. She'll still go crazy and she will crash then eventually, but it is amazing the energy that they can have after a little bit of a break and still, play. But it's also different energy and different things you're using when you're playing versus giving emotional, support to people and taking on their energy and that kind of thing as well. And for me as well as Piper.
So, what are some things that you do to make sure that you are staying in a place that you want to be there, right? What are you doing internally to help yourself continue to be present?
I think, just really enjoying it and preparing myself to know this is what I'm doing for this amount of time or the day even. Sometimes this is my whole afternoon just going and coming and then relaxing when I come home as well. I try to give myself time when I come home to decompress a little bit myself and then just, exhale, truthfully. And it's all great, but you do not realize, it caught me by surprise in the beginning of like, I would come home and I was like, whoa, I feel like I did a lot. And all I kind of did was walk around a little bit and have my dog but you don't realize the energy and it's all wonderful. But boy, you forget how much people's energy gives off and you take on and it's wonderful. But boy, it's a lot. That's what I realized. And it was, so I just come home and then I like to just, if I've taken some photos or different things of Piper, I like to do that and I'll post because people really enjoy. We have an
Yes.
Instagram account and people really enjoy and comment how they really like when we post pictures and stuff of us doing that because they just get such a kick out of it. And people wanting to know if their airports have dogs and things like that. And, how they can, see dogs at the airports and things like that, specifically at the airport. People really like that. And then also when we go to really interesting places, whether it's hospitals, but we do schools, we've done businesses. I wasn't able to do one, but at one point one of the TV shows asked to have the dogs come from LAX and de-stress the crew of a TV show before they went to film.
Wow.
And so they got to go to Warner Brothers lot.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I was supposed to go, and my one older dog had gotten sick, so I couldn't go. But it was a show that was on the network I was working for at the time, so I would have met people I actually knew, but unfortunately
Yes.
wasn't able to go. But that was a really cool thing to do for their staff. And when I was working too, we had therapy dogs come to our office for a couple of times during stressful times of work, and everyone loved it. And again, I didn't have the right dog at that time, but I was like, I really want to get to pet therapy, and I really enjoyed it myself as a participant of just enjoying, uh, you know, petting a dog and then getting smiles from all these different types of dogs. It was great.
It's amazing what happens inside of our brain, all those chemicals that we have that are moving around and doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then to all of a sudden see something that won't talk back to you, that is friendly, that is, willing, and it's like, yeah, come love on me. I would love to transform this space with all of these noises and all of these smells. I'd like to just transform it so that you are just focused here for a moment in that
Yes.
space, align yourself, realign yourself. Truly, truly
And that
amazing.
happens when we just go out to a patio or to like a brewery. We will bring Piper because she's so easy and she'll sit there and just relax.
Yeah.
And people just are drawn to her because she smiles and her tongue's out and she just sits like a human, and she's cute. And there are all these other dogs there too, but people are drawn to her. Kids love her, and so they are just drawn to her. And size wise, they're not intimidated by her.
Mm,
So the kids really like coming, or even at the airports too. She's on their level, if not smaller than some of them. So it's not threatening. And a lot of times it's the first time they've really pet a dog and that they're allowed to, and it's a dog that's safe with regards to, they're not going to jump on them. And
right.
and even so, as a handler, I'm still constantly watching her, making sure, her mouth doesn't get too close, which it doesn't, but baby hands move a lot, and,
They
making
do.
sure everyone's safe, including Piper. But it's really sweet to see like a really young baby experience, sort of really looking at a dog up close and touching it, and the
Yeah.
giggles and the sweetness. It's really nice.
Yeah. How do you determine your schedule for going into LAX? Because the traffic around there, they've made so many improvements,
But
but it is still
yeah,
such a congested space, and so I would think that there would be times it would be easier to get in and out than other times. So how do
yes.
you choose your schedule?
Mornings, if it's a weekday, even a weekend, after rush hour, perfect time. So a lot of times, a lot of us work 10 or 10:30 a.m. till about 12:30. And
Mhm.
it's like, it's a really good sweet spot. And it's also, you have the rest of your afternoon if it's a weekend or something too. And boy, I can get up there in 35, 40 minutes, which is amazing. I mean, I'm just
It
straight
is.
going, and then I can get right in there. But come summertime, you can tell it's summertime, and a lot of travelers, holiday time, as that's when they would like you to come a lot of times, and it's like, oh, it's really busy.
Yeah,
But it's fun, and you just put that into your time, and you make it, even more enjoyable. And the other thing is people, you can do at night. The airport is open 24/7,
it is.
and we pick our own schedules, and we pick whatever terminals we want to work.
Oh,
And so I like to mix it up. I like working different terminals. A lot of people like working a specific one because they know it best. I love international. International is very fun.
yeah,
And I enjoy working alone, but we love when we can get a group of us together. And so Kathy, the tester, who would become friends, and she's the one who introduced me to LAX pups when we passed. She said, "You guys would be great at LAX. You should really think about it." And it's not something I would ever think to go willingly to the airport when I'm not traveling,
right.
especially to an international busy airport like that. But it really is one of the best places that we like to volunteer at. It is so much fun. Meet people like you and just all different types of people. The other thing is, I had posted that I was going to be working in one terminal, and a friend reached out and said, "My niece is going to be at the international traveling to Korea for the summer. Would you go and meet them?" And I said, "Yeah, let me know what airlines and what that they'll be there at this time," because it was the same time I was going to be there anyways. I said, "Sure." So I said, "Let me know what her airline or her flight is, and I'll find the gate." And I went to the gate, and she knew what we looked like. So she was looking for Piper and myself. And we met her and her girlfriend who were traveling right after high school. They were doing a summer all across Asia, and then doing school and stuff. And that was really fun. And then we walked the rest of international and walked around. And yeah, it's really fun, actually. And then some of the other terminals are getting makeovers. So it's fun to see what's changing.
Yeah.
American has a baby grand piano. So
Oh,
Terminal 7 has a baby grand piano. Who knew?
mm,
And the pilots, and it's open to anyone can play on it. And a lot of the pilots will play on it. So we've come across some pilots and passengers playing on the baby grand. It's really sweet and it's fun. So yeah, who would have thought?
who would have thought? And I love that you got that message ahead of time. And hey, can you possibly go and see my niece? Do you have access then, pretty much to go wherever you want to, or do you have to stay in certain areas?
So we're badged, we're employees. So I have a badge where we go through the certain doors to go backstage, sort
Mhm.
of, and
Yes,
come through. And so long as you know where to go and which the proper doors to go into, which there's a lot of doors,
a lot.
you can go into any terminal, and a lot of they all connect. So you can start a lot of
Yeah.
times. Like I started after seeing you, we walked through into the terminal one, and I
Mhm.
walked through two and down to three because they all connect. And so we'll do that. So sometimes we'll do one or two, or
Mhm.
and that kind of thing. And again, it depends on how she's doing. Some days we meet a lot of people and we stop a lot and we don't get very far. And other days we don't. People aren't as interested or busy or what have you, and we don't meet as many, and that's okay.
Yes.
So we might call it early on those days, but
Mhm.
it's fun when we can meet up with one other person or couple, because when you have a couple of dogs together, boy, it draws a lot of attention,
Yeah.
and people lose their mind, especially when we had a couple of days where we've done 5 dogs, and like 4 to 5, and they're all bigger. And there's a Dalmatian, there's English setters, so they've got really long curly hair. Newfies mixed. I mean, there's all a golden. So it's a nice mix of dogs. So it really funny to see who is attracted to certain dogs. People come to the golden all the time. Then some people will come up to us. Oh, we have a Boston, or is that a Frenchie? But we everyone draws different audiences, and
Mhm.
it's really fun when you have a group of different dogs, and everyone gets something out of it. And they're just, you see 5 dogs that you can pet at an airport, lose their mind.
That's so memorable. And 5 was way more than, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus plus. It's like, yeah.
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 And once one person's petting one of the two of them,
Uh,
it's a magnet. People are just attracted and go, we can pet them, because you're so used to seeing animals that are service dogs and for the
right.
blind, and you can't. And everyone's trained. I will say everyone is trained very well now to
Good.
not even ask. So they all of a sudden it says "pet me" on their vest, and they're like, "We can pet them." Yes, their minds are blown. And we said, "Yes, that's what we're here for." And they're like, "You're here for we can pet you?" He said, "Yes."
That
So
was
it's very sweet.
that was totally me. I mean, it said pet me, and I was like, "Really?" I mean, I have to,
You kind of go, "Is this a joke? Yeah, is this a joke?"
Yeah, exactly. And it is, I love that people are being more aware that when you see a service dog that says service dog and they have the harness on and stuff, to let them do their work,
Yes,
allow them to, because they are working at that point.
for sure.
Um, what an important thing that is. So tell me a little bit more about Piper and what Piper likes to do, because Piper is working multiple days a week helping people out. But when Piper is home, what's Piper love most?
She is obsessed with fetch. She will fetch a ball, a toy, 24/7, and you have to take away, I mean, no joke, one of our coffee tables is just piled high of toys because we take them away. She goes, gets another toy, puts it down, and she will sit there for 10 minutes waiting for you to throw it. And then she'll even get up to touch it. Okay, it's right here. You see it, right? It's right here.
Help
Uh,
me out here.
exactly. Her nickname is Hyper Piper, which people are shocked when they meet her out and about. But if you were to meet her at the house, she is just a normal, crazy dog that is full of energy. So people are very surprised that she is a therapy dog, because she is very chill out, but she is absolutely crazy at home. And she likes to then play tug of war with her sisters over a toy, but she is very fetch and toy play wise obsessed. But
Mhm.
she's a good girl, and she's good with her sisters. And she now has a younger sister that she's a little jealous of.
Oh,
Yes, Ruby. She's a little jealous because she got all the attention as the younger one, and now
yeah.
she's Jen Brady. She's the middle child,
I'm so sorry. Yes.
but they get along very well, and she still gets her time, and they all get their time,
Mhm.
and we do different things with them, and
Yeah,
try to make sure everyone feels equally loved.
important.
Yeah.
Yes. You had gotten Ruby, and you were wondering if Ruby might have some of the same attributes that Piper does and could possibly also be a therapy dog. So are you sensing that at this point?
Yeah, I mean, she's super sweet. I just had to take her to the vet, and she has a cone on right now. She scratched her
Mm,
eye. Well, she didn't scratch her eye, but she had a little eye issue. But she went right over to, well, she was scared to be at the vet and the new surroundings, because she really hasn't gone out, because she
right.
hadn't had her shots yet. So
Yeah.
now she has her shots. But I put her down, and there was a gentleman there, an older gentleman, and she just walked right over, was like, "Hey," even though she was nervous and she was shaking a little my arms, she just walked right over and just gave him some loving, and then came back and was like, "Okay, mom, hold me." But to him, she was really open, and she's very sweet. So we are going to be starting puppy classes and just general training. But they do, at the end, they do focus on whether it's service animals or pet therapy. They have programs for that as well. So that is our end goal, to be a therapy dog as well. But just overall, it's just about places and getting used to, outward places, and comfortable and sounds. And
Mhm.
that'll all come from class and building confidence. And that's what she just needs, is she's super confident at home. It's just,
Good.
hasn't been out. So she's great temperament. And I had asked, we went to a breeder, and I was like, I am looking for this eventually. So out of all the pups, I would like one that's kind of feisty and has, isn't a shrinking violet in that regard, and
Right.
confidence. And she was the smallest and the feistiest one. And when we met her at 6 weeks, just to see who all the different puppies, she was the one we wanted for sure, and loved. And she was the only one playing with the biggest toys, bigger than her. She was pulling them, and so I thought, yeah, that's my girl.
So did you also then take Piper and your other dog at some point to have some interaction before you brought
No,
Ruby home?
I did that with my other dog, who was a little reactive because I was really concerned about our first one with the second. And I did bring her to meet our second one, and she ignored her totally, which is a great sign. So I was happy with that. But no, Stella had the middle one, who was the middle one, and now the oldest, had met Piper right away and got along. And she loves all dogs. So I wasn't worried about her. I figured Piper might ignore her a little bit, and that's what happened. But there was no, bad, introduction. And then how we introduced them was we went in the backyard, and one by one, I brought them out, and
Mm.
Ruby was there. And I mean, right away, Stella just started playing with her, like going nuts. And Ruby was a little like, hey, 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 whoa, it's a little fast for me,
Yeah.
it's a little much, but she was all for it. And, Piper just smelled her up and down, was interested, but again, they were fine. And then literally the next day with Stella, it was just like, hey, welcome. We're sisters now, and everything's great. And then confidence was building. And so, Piper ignored her for a little bit. And Piper's thing is she likes to sit on her sisters and on your foot. She's very much has to touch.
Yes.
So she eventually sat on Ruby,
And
which
you
was
posted it. It
well
was
grown. Yes, I
so
did.
cute.
I
So
call
cute.
it I fits, I sit. I fits, I sits. And she sat on her a couple times, but one time she sat for like a minute. But you could tell she wasn't crushing her. She still was actually gentle with her.
Yeah.
And that was sort of the final. And they ended up sitting back to back touching. And I thought, and we're all good now. Like it's fine. And so, yeah, so now we all get along, but they just play differently. So Stella and Ruby play very rolling around, wrestling, and then Piper will play with her tug, and Ruby will take a toy, and then Piper will take it back. But that's how Piper plays. It's just different. So they have different interactions, which is great. When you have three, they all can play in different ways. Some might not want to play while the other two play. Three's a really good number sometimes. Two people think is better, but sometimes three can be really good, where one can take a break and the other two can play.
Oh, so good. So I'd love to have you share a little bit of as you have done this and have been out in the public doing this, I would love for you to share a little bit about when you have things that don't go exactly the way that you would like for them to go, whether you are working on a different project or you are with Piper, you guys are working together. How do you work through some of those pieces to make sure that everybody is okay, particularly you are okay, and if Piper's with you, that Piper is well?
With Piper, I just focus on her completely, and I can handle more, obviously, and I can vocalize more and stand up if needed. I'm just very aware. Having a reactive dog was actually very helpful because I'm hyper aware of animals and people around me. I used to read people where I could see, even I had a small dog, but people would be scared of dogs who have a fear. And I would read body language as we would just walk on a street, and I would make sure she would go to my other side because I could tell someone was uncomfortable. So I just try to be aware of surroundings for myself, but for her, and also for other people. Not everyone is an animal lover. Not everyone likes dogs. There's very fearful people, understandably, and they will tell you the reasons why. And that's okay. And there's some people who don't like small dogs, and some people like big dogs, and they have no problem telling you that to your face. and you
Very
say,
true.
and you say, I respect that. That's not a problem. So, and just overall, I've worked for so long with people. And so I hopefully am pretty good about reading people and situations. And I just try to adjust accordingly. If things are kind of going in an odd way, thank you very much. We're going to move on now to someone else.
Mm.
And there's different, nothing's ever bad. It's just like, okay, we think we're done here, or it's kind of going on a little longer and things are kind of happening and I'm not sure where this is going. So we're just going to thank you very much. Or she's tired. We're going to go take a break and excuse ourselves. And, so we just gracefully move on or uh, you know, move to someone else or just excuse ourselves altogether. So, but we've been lucky enough not to have any real situations like that. And again, I just try to, mitigate them before they happen and just kind of keep an eye on things and, just read the room
Mm.
as all things, try to really just be aware of, surroundings
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. So, and I don't. I'm careful not going to too many places that are really hot outside to overheat her, or
Mm.
weather-wise too. Some of these things we do. I've done elementary schools, and that's a lot for her. She's small, and while they're super organized and they're lining the kids up, that's a lot of energy. And I've come to realize even for me at times. So we keep to high schools or colleges, do a bit
Mhm.
better for Piper and myself. So, some of the bigger dogs do really well because they like to be brushed and they lay down and they put bows on them and berets and stuff like that. And so, early on, I started to realize like I would volunteer and do different things. And I was like, okay, this is, while it was fun and had no problems, I realized it was a lot for her at times.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, check this off the list. We're going to kind of veer towards these kinds of things. And so it's just my experience, really. And
Yeah.
every situation is different. And, yeah. So
Mm.
just, again, try to be aware of everyone and everything. And every situation is different. And,
For sure.
yeah.
I was talking recently to one of my mentors, and the conversation was, launch and adjust. Do something, and then see if that's really how you want it to go. And then if not, you can always adjust afterwards. But when we don't take any action at all, we have no idea. We can have lots of ideas about how we think it's going to go, but we don't really know how it's going to go. And I really appreciate that you had a dog who was very reactive at one point, and that taught you to watch not only the dog, but the people around you and to
Mhm.
be reading the body language, because that I think has served you well in the capacity that you're in right now. I have one more question about LAX. Do you get a designated parking place then, or are you with everybody else trying to figure out the parking?
Well, so we have a parking card, and so we can park in any parking structure. And so we park more at the airport versus some of the off the lot stuff.
Mhm.
But, during the holidays, and it can get kind of crazy, where when we were trying to organize, a few of us one time were calling each other going, this one's full, going on to the next, so we'll be there in a minute, and you
Right.
have to bake in a little bit more time to park. But we do have a parking pass, and a lot of times they will close it down for visitors because they don't want you wasting too much time looking for something that's really not there, or only a few spots.
Right. Right.
If we show our ID, they'll let us in because there might be a few spots available to us and we're not
Mm.
missing a flight. We're not going to miss a flight
Right.
or something. So
Right.
they do that for the people who are flying too. They're not wasting their time looking for a spot that
Yeah.
may or may not be there. And usually, honestly, I tend to go to the top floors, just go all the way up.
Yes.
And that tends to be more open. But there are times where it is full. But and it's really more the holiday and stuff that it tends to be the big travel weekends and stuff are
Yeah.
like that. But usually it's not so bad. But we do have a parking card, thank God. So
Good.
I swipe it in and I swipe it out, and that's the other fun thing is then I can park in different parking structures to get close enough so we're not walking we're already walking inside a lot and try to keep the walking to the car.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then does Piper always walk from the car in, even if it's raining, or do you choose to ever carry Piper in?
I don't think I've. It doesn't rain a lot in California.
Mm.
I don't think it's rained too much when I've gone to LAX. But I would pick her up if that's the case. If I had an umbrella, she's so small I can put her under there. But she doesn't mind. She doesn't mind her feet getting wet, so she'd be okay. Kind of a thing. But yeah, I don't think it's been raining when I've gone. It's been so dry.
It has been really, really dry.
Yeah,
And yet, when the rains come, they really seem to come in Southern
they do.
California.
They do. And then we just stay home because everyone's crazy on the road. So,
No, it's so true. So true.
yes.
Because it doesn't rain very often, you get just those little pieces, little bits of drops of oil.
Oil. Yep.
And then the first rain that hits, it becomes very, very slick, and people don't necessarily realize that. And so they're at speed or beyond, and then need to stop, and then they're sliding, and then, it becomes
It's like black ice. You don't see,
right.
what's there.
Yeah, so true.
Yep.
So you are in a space of changing jobs, and how does that feel for you as you're in this space?
I am really grateful that after 28 years, a week ago, I worked my last day there. And now I'm looking for my next chapter. And I'm really grateful that I actually have pet therapy as an anchor and as something that I can do and have for myself as well as just my dogs in general. But to have still some purpose while I figure out and find the next chapter. I would love to do something with pet therapy, but most of it's volunteer based, which is
Right.
wonderful. So I will need to still find a job that pays a little bit. I'm too young to retire. But I do love that I can still do pet therapy, whatever that is. And then also for when I do retire, ideally, I would still love to be doing pet therapy.
Sure.
And I've run into many women and men who have retired, and they do a lot of it. And then a couple people who work at LAX, volunteer husband and wife team, and they do multiple days a week there. They also do Burbank Airport, and they do hospitals, and they have three dogs, and so they're doing a lot of pet therapy, and that's a nice goal for me. I don't need to do it every single day, obviously,
Right.
but a couple of days a week would be wonderful. And I really do I get so much out of it myself. It's really rewarding that, as I said, I just took my dog out in general and she just draws attention. And so it's to take that to another level and have it as a pet therapy and really bring smiles. And we just hear such wonderful things from people like, oh my gosh, you made her day. And whether it's at the airport, oh, I'm super stressed to travel, to fly. This just made my day. Or I miss my own dogs, my pets. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hospitals too. So it's been really good for me to have this as I do change and figure out the next thing for myself, which I have no idea, since I have been at one place for so long, which just is very rare these days. So yeah, I'm very grateful for it. So next, I'm doing something next Wednesday, and so with LAX, LAX pups also volunteer at other places, not just LAX. The community calls them, and so they go out to whatever they are asked for. So there's always a list of things for the month besides just the airport. So I'm going to do one of those things, which is great. So yeah, it's really been good. And so now I'm not working, I can do a couple of weekdays much easier. And yeah, so I'm very grateful though. It's nice to have another identity versus just the work of the past 28 years.
You are speaking such wisdom, Tara, because that was one of the things that I thought after 35 years of teaching, I thought, I'll be fine. And then people say, well, what do you do? And you use this word that people use is the word retired. And I thought, I'm not tired. And re is the prefix to mean to do it again. And I'm really not tired, and I don't want to get tired again, right? It just, words matter.
Yes.
And so then I kind of played with, well, who am I and what's going on? And I love that you use the word anchor, because Simply Sarah, the show, has become such an anchor. It was during that transition time for me. And because I didn't tell people what I was doing, but yet I knew that I had something that I was pouring my energy into that was feeding me. And that space of finding that for that purpose. And so for anybody who is considering being in between jobs or considering leaving a job and looking to maybe not do the same thing afterwards, or use this word that we use, retired, which I don't know why we use that one, Next chapter, let's go for that.
Yeah.
Having some purpose as you move into the next chapter can be highly important. That space of anchoring, that space of in the middle of the night when you're in a different time zone, if that happens, that you're able to say, hey, I have this thing that I'm working on or I'm putting energy into. But I think that part of that also comes from having this calling internally, that we know who we are, we know what our gifts and our talents are, not necessarily because others have told us, although that can be a really great mirror into our life, but because there are things that bring us expansion, that bring us joy, things that we enjoy doing. And just because you enjoyed doing something for 28 years or more doesn't mean that you have to continue doing things in that arena, that
Right.
you can pull out of that the skills, the pieces that you enjoyed, and see if there's another fit out there someplace that fits you for where you are, for what you want to be doing next. And I think that that's such an important piece to be looking at, is what is it that you enjoy doing, and how can you then parlay that, move it into a space of being able to continue to do it and have ample time, flexibility for you to continue to do the pet therapy.
Yeah. And that's definitely what I'm looking for and figuring out. I'm taking the month of August off just to, I have not I have had a job since high school, in college, through everything. When I was in college, I was an intern,
Mm-hmm.
work study job, as well as I figured out a way, because I went to an art school, you can work your own system. I ended up getting hired full time, 5 days a week, while still in school, getting intern credit. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, come back up to school, work on theater shows, because that's what I was doing, production stage management, do my show at night, do whatever work study on my own time, and then getting paid to be a TA for school. I mean, I worked the system, but I worked, and I have never not had a job. So
Mm-hmm.
this is the first time, especially as an adult, but I worked in high school and I worked in college.
Yeah.
Um, I took a week off after graduating college, moved just closer to where I was already working, and went back to work. And I went from one job to the next job for 20
Yes.
years. So
Yes.
August will be a very nice time to take a break, not
Mm-hmm.
think about work, what I want to do really, and just regenerate myself.
Mm-hmm.
Therapy, spend time with friends, catch up with people,
Yeah.
and start the next chapter of figuring out, what that is. So
Yeah.
um, I'm very hopeful, and I do know it'll be very good, and no matter what it is, because I do know change was going to be happening, and I'm ready for it, and I'm excited.
I also you'd share before we got on the show that you had one end date, and then they were like, "Oh, we didn't really mean that. Can you come back for a little bit longer?" So
Yeah,
that's when you got to your last day, you were like, I am ready. And what a
yes,
beautiful thing that is. It was so mutual, right? That you were in
yes.
a space of saying, I've been knowing about this for a while, and now with the extension and all the rest of that, this really is a good place for us to say thank you. And
Yeah, it really was not traumatic on that last day. I was really ready. I shut my computer and I literally put it in a box that they sent me to send it back.
yes.
And I deleted the email app off my phone. I mean, I literally deleted and
Yes.
said goodbye and good night, to that chapter. I removed the address from my Google Maps,
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
said work. And boy, it didn't feel, it felt right. It didn't feel, sad. It didn't feel anything. It felt, it was time, I really had
Complete.
that peace. Yes. Very complete and okay with it, and ready for that.
Yeah. I so appreciate that. I know that for myself that I said goodbye. I was an elementary teacher. The bell rang, and I knew how long I had to get from where I was to where I needed to be. And when I got there, the town car was already waiting for us to get into to go to LAX for us to take a flight and as a family and for us to spend a month together as a family. And I was just so appreciative for how those pieces worked together because, like you, It gave me that space to be able to say, these are pieces on my phone in my world that no longer are. And we were going to Hawaii, to a place that we had been multiple times before, so that was familiar. But we had invited others to come with us. And because in the others, there was an upcoming surgery, they had called to say, I'm so sorry we can't come. And although we were so sad that they weren't coming, it ended up just being the nucleus of the family, not larger family.
Mhm.
And I will always cherish that time that we had together, of just being able to be and to enjoy, and to not feel like that there was something else that needed to happen in addition to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was meant to be, and it's what everybody needed in whatever
Mhm.
way, shape, or form. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, in this space, I'd love for you to reiterate anything that you'd like for our listeners to really hold on to.
If you see a therapy dog, go over and pet it, say hi, enjoy it, take it all in. Um, it's really fun, and it's the dog and the handler are just giving, and it's wonderful. And we appreciate people who enjoy it as much as we enjoy doing it. It's fun to watch people question, like, what are you doing, and is this dog up
Right.
for adoption? It's like, no, this is my dog, and this is a
Yeah.
therapy dog. And then they realize how wonderful it is, and it's a real joy and a real pleasure to do it, and spread smiles and happiness and cheer, especially these days. We all need it, you
Mhm.
know. And it's just nice having goodness and happiness forefront.
It really is. And I think, again, the work that you are doing has been important, as we continue to hear that part of our structure in America is a little bit older, and that flights are being delayed over an hour on average.
Yeah.
That's an average, right? That they're running for this particular summer space. That it just really is, whether your flight has been delayed or there are mechanical issues or whatever there happens to be, that space of saying, I see a therapy dog. And if you have the time, yes, go over, because it is a beautiful thing. I think that the dogs also train knowing that they are helping people. A friend of mine, Kia, had a Frenchie that she called French Toast. Such a cute name and such a great dog. And her thing was hospitals for children.
Uh-huh.
And French Toast had a very specific, this is my day to go, let's go,
Yep.
you're taking too long, mom. And it was just such a beautiful thing to be able to have that experience. And so I appreciate what you are doing, for the people who are in the hospital, for people who are traveling. But yes, they are there as a gift of this beautiful renewing energy to say, hey, take a moment, take a breath. There are pressures around, but it's going to be okay.
Yep. Exactly.
Hmm. Well, Tara, again, thank you for all of the work that you are doing. Just hope that you continue to do it. And whatever this next chapter brings for you, that it be a chapter that you find great expansion using your skills, but also that you find expansion in your schedule to be able to do more of what you love.
Thank you very much. I look forward to it as well.
Wonderful. And to our audience, we say thank you so much for listening to the end, for taking in all of the goodness of this conversation. I don't know if in my life I will ever be able to be the mom who helps the dog, who helps people, gives puppies up for people who are blind. I didn't say that very well, but you get my gist. I don't know if that's going to happen. I would love for it to. In the space of watching other people who are handlers and giving and doing. When we were at church on Sunday, there was somebody there who was training a dog and kept him in the back. And it was just so incredible to watch this young black lab. Like, am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? Oh, I can relax now. And for the music to be going on, and for there to be issues with the sound system, and the dog and handler just stayed connected the whole time. It was lovely. And so when you see somebody who is sharing from their heart, giving of their time, know that they have put hundreds of hours in to be able to share that beautiful gift with you. And so, as we say every time, take good care of you. And until next time.